You are sitting on the couch. Nothing dramatic has happened yet. You have not made a sound. You have not moved. And then, before the first tear even falls, your dog is there. Head on your lap, eyes locked on yours, warm and still, and somehow exactly where you need them to be. You did not call them. You did not signal them. And yet they knew. The real reason why is far stranger than you think. Your dog is not guessing. Your dog is reading you with a set of perceptual tools so finely tuned to human emotional states that scientists are only now beginning to understand just how deep that ability goes. And the story of how that ability got there stretches back tens of thousands of years to a world where reading a human's emotional state correctly was the difference between survival and death. But first, the smell. Before you cry, your body changes, your heart rate shifts, your skin temperature fluctuates, the chemical composition of your breath alters. Stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, begin flooding your system, and they do not stay inside your body. They leak through your breath, through your skin, through the microscopic chemical signals your body releases into the air around you without your knowledge or consent. To another human, these signals are invisible. To your dog, they are deafening. A dog's nose contains roughly 300 million olfactory receptors. Yours contains about 6 million. The part of a dog's brain dedicated to analyzing smells is proportionally about 40 times larger than yours. Researchers at the University of Naples have demonstrated that dogs can detect human emotional states through scent alone, with no visual or auditory cues whatsoever. In a landmark 2018 study, dogs were able to correctly identify whether a human was in a state of fear or happiness based purely on sweat samples with accuracy rates well above chance. They did not see the person, they did not hear the person, they simply smelled the emotional truth. So before you feel the sob rising in your chest, your dog has already been reading the chemical story your body is telling. The grief is in the air before it is in your eyes, but scent is only the beginning. Dogs are also extraordinarily skilled readers of human faces, more skilled in ways than any other non human animal on Earth. Researcher Julianne Kaminsky at the University of Portsmouth has spent years studying the facial behavior of dogs in the presence of humans, and her findings are remarkable. Dogs have evolved specific facial muscles that wolves do not have. One of them is called the levator anguli oculi medialis, a small muscle above the inner eyebrow that, when activated, produces the expression humans colloquially call puppy dog eyes. The raised inner brow, the wide, soft, slightly sorrowful look. Here is the extraordinary part. Wolves do not have this muscle. It developed in domestic dogs over the course of roughly 15,000 years of living alongside humans, and it did not develop by accident. It developed because humans responded to it. Dogs that could produce that expression received more care, more food, more protection. The ones who could not were less favored. Over thousands of generations, the ability to make a face that speaks directly to human emotions was selected for, reinforced, and perfected. Your dog's face is, in part, a tool that was shaped by your ancestors' emotional responses. And it is not just the face dogs have evolved to read, it is yours. Studies using eye tracking technology have shown that dogs scan human faces in a very specific pattern with a strong left side bias. When a dog looks at a human face, it typically focuses more on the right side of the face from its own perspective, which corresponds to the left side of the human face. This is significant because the left side of the human face tends to be more emotionally expressive. It is controlled more directly by the right hemisphere of the brain, which governs emotional processing. Dogs have learned through millennia of observation to look at the part of your face that is most likely to give them accurate emotional information. They are not just looking at you, they are looking at the most honest part of you. And there is more. Researchers at the University of Lincoln and the University of Sao Paulo collaborated on a study published in 2016 in the journal Biology Letters. They presented dogs with photographs of happy and angry human faces and simultaneously played happy or angry human voices. When the face and voice matched emotionally, dogs spent significantly more time looking at the face. When they did not match, the dogs showed confusion. And this means dogs are not just detecting a single emotional signal, they are cross referencing multiple signals, comparing what they hear against what they see, and building a coherent picture of your emotional state. Your dog is doing emotional integration in real time about you right now. But why do they respond the way they do? Why does your dog not simply register your distress and go back to sleep? Why does your dog move toward you, press against you, rest its head on your knee? The answer involves something called emotional contagion. It is a phenomenon that has been documented across many social species. The capacity to feel a version of what another creature is feeling and to be moved by it. Researcher Adam Miklosi at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest, one of the world's leading authorities on dog cognition, has proposed that dogs may experience a primitive form of empathy, not the full perspective taking empathy that humans are capable of, but a genuine emotional resonance that motivates caregiving behavior. In practical terms, this means your distress does not just register in your dog's brain as information, it registers as something closer to feeling. Your dog does not coldly analyze that you are sad and calculate that approaching you might be beneficial. Your dog feels something shift when you feel something shift, and that feeling drives them toward you. There's a study by Deborah Custance and Jennifer Mayer at Goldsmiths, University of London, that makes this concrete in a startling way. In their experiment, a person either hummed in an unusual way or pretended to cry. In both cases, the dog was present. When the person hummed, the dogs showed curiosity. They approached and investigated. When the person pretended to cry, the dogs showed something different entirely. They approached in a submissive, gentle way. They nuzzled, they licked, they pressed in close. They were not just curious, they were responding to the emotional content of the distress, not merely the novelty of the sound. The dogs were not going to the person who was making noise, they were going to the person who was in pain. And this behavior intensified when the distress came from a stranger as much as from the owner. The dogs did not confine their empathic response to the person they knew. A crying stranger received the same gentle, pressing approach, which suggests that this is not learned attachment behavior. It is something older, something more wired in, a generalized drive to respond to distress in a social animal that crosses the boundary between species. This is the part that is worth sitting with. Your dog does not just love you in the way a dog is trained to love you. Your dog responds to your grief with a reflex that appears to transcend individual relationship. The circuitry that pulls your dog toward a crying human may be the same circuitry that originally helped dogs attached to human groups integrate into human social systems and earn the trust that eventually turned a wild predator into the animal sleeping at your feet. Your tears are part of how that happened. There is also evidence that dogs respond not just to the sight and smell and sound of human emotion, but to the physiological after effects of emotional states. Research published in the journal PLOS ONE found that dogs can detect changes in cortisol levels in human breath and sweat with impressive accuracy. In the study, dogs successfully identified breath and sweat samples taken from humans after a stressful arithmetic task at a rate that was significantly above chance. They were smelling the stress hormone itself, not the behavioral expression of stress, but the biochemical trace of it. This means your dog may begin detecting your emotional state before the emotion has fully surfaced in your conscious awareness. Before you have registered that you are sad, before the thought has fully formed, before the impulse to cry has reached your face. The biochemical cascade has already begun, and your dog is already reading it. Your dog may know you are about to cry before you do. Think about what that means. The animal you have invited into your home carries in its nose and its social brain and its evolved face and its ancient attachment circuitry a precision instrument for reading human emotional states. It was built for this, not by design, but by the long, quiet pressure of thousands of years of living alongside creatures who rewarded exactly this capacity. Your dog does not read minds, but your dog reads you, your chemistry, your face, your voice, your posture, with a comprehensiveness and an accuracy that most humans cannot match. And when the reading tells your dog that you are in pain, something in your dog responds. Not because it was trained to, not because it expects a reward, but because somewhere in the deep structure of what your dog is, responding to your distress is as natural as breathing. The next time you are sitting on your couch and nothing dramatic has happened yet, and you have not made a sound, and your dog comes anyway and puts their head in your lap, know this. They already knew. They read the chemistry in the air around you. They scanned the left side of your face. They register